You're listening to Nothing's Off the Table, the podcast where no subject is too taboo to discuss. Now, please welcome your hosts, Andy Barker and Lou Del Pree.
Groovy tunes from the bottom of something or other. What's up, Lou?
Nothing much. How's it going?
It's it's going. We were supposed to have a guest tonight. I don't know if we got our signals crossed. I talked to him a couple days ago. Everything seemed to be lined up and ready to rock. I'm thinking there might be time change / time zone differences that maybe we got confused on. However,
awesome.
Show must. Oh, well, here we are. Hey, hello, sir. Whoa, wait a minute.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Yep, yeah. Just in time. We just started the show. I didn't know if you're going to make it on time, so I was just saying the show's got to go on. But welcome. Wow.
I was just trying to put my jacket on so I can stay warm because it's cold in my office.
Oh boy.
The sun goes down and the cold starts.
Now, where are you from again, sir?
Oxnard, California, 35 minutes from LA.
Oh, yeah, okay. I bet it does get a little bit chilly when the sun goes down out there. But Jorge, let me introduce you. Jorge's our guest tonight, a best-selling author, and I'm really excited about the conversation we're about to have tonight. But without further ado, I will give you the floor, sir. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just dive right in and go from there.
So just like you mentioned, my name is Jorge V. Gonzalez.
I totally screwed that up. My bad.
No, you didn't. But some people do call me Jorge, but that's perfectly fine. I am a real estate agent, a published author, an inventor, and a public speaker. And I am the grandson and son of Mexican immigrants.
Very cool. Very cool.
Nice. Inventor. I didn't see that in the credit. What? Tell me.
Yeah, get out of my head, Lou.
I invented a batting machine for baseball and softball that we call the Batting Pro. I created a prototype for my daughter. She became a 5-time All-Star, 1-year Rookie of the Year, 1-year MVP because of this batting machine. I was actually going to launch it, but when Trump came into office, we went into a tariff war with China. So had I launched it, I would have went bankrupt. But then we had COVID, then a recession. But here we are dusting ourselves up. I still have a product run ready to go in China,
That is awesome.
Yeah, you're barking up the right tree because I just so happened to umpire baseball, and we were just talking. Lou and I were just talking a minute ago about. I know he's not watching, but I just bought my son a new bat for Christmas, so we're pretty excited about that.
But just imagine someone with a great bat, because of course we have great bats and not so good bats, right? So that's a huge difference. But imagine practicing that perfect swing every single time, every 2 seconds. It's all about muscle memory and level swing. Imagine what would happen at that point.
I'm listening. You got my attention for sure.
That's exactly what happened with my daughter. She became a 5-time All-Star, 1-year Rookie of the Year, 1-year MVP. She had the best level swing of the entire league. And everybody's like, George, what are you doing with her? It's like, well, I'm helping her. I'm coaching her. What are you guys doing? Because that's what I'm doing.
You're parenting. I'm parenting.
Right.
Little did they know that my daughter and I had invented a product, and we created a prototype for her, and she was just going to work on it every day.
Man.
So when you go to practice to warm up at the batting box, you see all these kids swinging up or swinging down.
Right.
And it's funny because everybody saw my daughter swinging level, even warming up. And they're like, that's unusual. It's like, what's unusual? She has a level swing at the batting box. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's how I practice. That's the only swing we work on. Because baseball is a contact sport, not a home run sport. It's not a home run derby. It's a contact sport.
Right.
Yeah, I've been taking my son to, I got him a batting coach, basically. Mm-hmm. So for about the last 3-4 months, I've been taking him there once a week. And the change has been phenomenal. And he's always been a decent hitter, but he started getting into his own head. He's only 12. So he's super competitive. He's been getting in his own head, but getting him out there with this coach has been phenomenal. I mean, his last 2 games, tripled in both games, doubles, singles, phenomenal game. And he's not a big kid, so and he's a little bit chunky, so people look at him and they said, here comes the easy out, and he crushes it.
That's what they did with my daughter. She was the smallest little girl in the league, and they thought that, okay, we're gonna play closer in the infield. Not realizing that she knew about finding the pockets. She was squeezing in the pockets, and she'll run a little hard to first base, and she would always get on base all the time.
Nice.
So they what's the word? They misjudged her size.
Sure.
They didn't know her skill.
Right.
And I think one thing that gets lost on people, to hit a baseball in play, right? Not foul, not contact, none of that, but to hit a baseball in play is the hardest thing to do in sports, according to the calculations.
Yeah.
We make a hero out of somebody. If your batting average is 375, that we make a hero out of you. That means you only hit the ball in play 3.5 times out of every 10 times it is thrown to you. That is terrible.
Amazing, right?
That's right.
Yes. Really, that should be terrible. But you are a hero if you can do it, because it is so hard to do.
Yeah.
Popping out is easy. Hitting foul balls, that's easy. But to put it, like you said, to put it in play, to get it through the pocket, to get it into the outfield, that is the hardest thing to do in sport.
Well, that's what I told my daughter. I was like, baby, there's no way you're going to hit a home run. You're too small for that. Your best bet is using your speed to get to first base.
Yeah.
So you got to find these pockets to hit it and then run as fast as you can. And then as she got older and bigger, then she would go from singles to doubles to triples to inside the park home runs, and then finally hit home runs as she got older and bigger.
Yeah. Deciding I'm going to go now, the older she gets, I imagine the more control she has. Now she's deciding, are we going to go opposite field?
That's exactly what she was doing when she was getting older. When she went to high school, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
How far did she go, competitive wise?
She played her freshman year as JV, sophomore year JV, and then she blew out her knee at the end of her JV year. But she said, "Daddy, it's okay because we invented this machine. So if this was the journey and we still created that, I'm okay with that." And baby, I love your way of thinking. I love your way of thinking.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You're going to help a lot of people with that.
Because
you're going to help a lot of people.
She did want her to play college balls. That was her plan.
Mm-hmm.
But she just graduated from Long Beach University here in Southern California with a business marketing degree. And it's funny because we created this. She went to school for a business marketing degree. So I get a lot of ideas from her as far as how to market my business.
Sure.
Because she's the generation of social media.
Yeah.
So I lean on her a lot.
Yeah, I have my kids set my my alarm for me. I'm not real smart.
It's true though. They know.
Funny story. Lou, you'll appreciate this. When we were stationed in Japan, Lou and I served together in the military. And just so happened to be in Japan at the same time. One of the doctors that I worked with in the emergency department, he'd bought one of these drones. And so he brings it over to the house. When he gets it, neither one of us could figure out how to work this thing. We couldn't even turn it on. Well, my daughter was, I think, 5 at the time. She just walks over and turns it on. I'm like, geez, man. How dumb do I feel?
These are different children, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
and,
sure.
and a lot of times we hear a lot of despair, like, the generation is going, like things are bad, things are worse. But you know what? I remember coming up, they were saying the same thing about me. And while it may have been true about me, the rest of us that are my age, I'm mid 40s, right? The rest of the people, we didn't burn it down. We may not have done the best job, but we didn't burn it down. I mean, and they're going to make mistakes, but they're not going to burn it down.
Right.
Look, we rode bikes with no helmets.
That's right.
Yes.
We rode in the back of pickup trucks.
That's right.
In the freeway, in highways.
Yeah.
In lawn chairs.
And we're okay. And there you go, lawn chairs.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Because it's going to be a different world they're inheriting. Certainly they can't manage what we have, but we created what we have. They'll be managing what they create.
Man, you know, George, I really want to talk to you more about this baseball invention. However, that's not why you're here. So I'd like to stay in contact with you. So when you finally get it launched, man, I'm interested for sure.
Well,
But
I mean, I have I'm able to do special orders, onesies if needed, and it's also available for licensing. So now that I'm on podcasts and I drive people to my social media platforms, I want people to see that that option is there, because I don't want to keep it away from people that really do want it. Because what happened with my daughter is self-esteem and her confidence was up to the roof, right?
I believe it.
And seeing that happiness and how it warmed my heart and how I became this amazing happy parent, because oh my God, my daughter's she's so happy. I want to make sure that I have that available for parents and for kids right now. So if anybody would find that on my social media, it would definitely be an option for people.
Okay. Well, when we're done with the show, send me all your social media contact info, and we'll put it out there and on the YouTube channel, on the podcast channel, and Facebook, all that stuff. So hopefully we can garner some traction for you.
Sounds good.
But so I'm very interested in the book that you wrote. So talk to us about the book.
I've always wanted to write a book ever since I first learned about this. My grandfather migrated from Mexico to the United States during World War II under this work agreement between the United States and Mexico called the Bracero program. When I first heard about that program, it humbled me and it made me emotional, because I knew at that point in my life that was a huge sacrifice for my family, for my grandfather and my grandmother, right? And then when I was in my early mid 20s, my dad was 45 years old and he was given 6 months to live.
Oh, wow.
And then being at the doctor's office, the doctor tells me, your dad doesn't speak English, so I need you to tell him that he has 6 months to live. And when I told him that and we walked out of the doctor's office, he was like in shock, right? In complete denial. And I was like, this story has to be told. The consequences of alcoholism and substance abuse, that story has to be told. And the story that a family is going to have to endure and go through and suffer because of the consequences of those kind of decisions. But nothing happened for like 25 years. I didn't have an opportunity. Nothing really came to see how do I share it, stuff like that, because I didn't know much back then. But then during the pandemic in 2021, I got this like hug, this lovable hug that told me it's time to write the book. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, the whole world is shut down. This doesn't make any sense. And then it hugged me again, and it gave me this peace. I'm like, okay, I guess we're writing the book. And then I started that process. And when I wrote the book, I was actually going to call it American Inventor, because obviously the invention. But what I realized after that was American Inventor was really for self, right? Because it was like, okay, it's my title, I'm an inventor, stuff like that. But then I heard this whisper, and that whisper said, answer the call. And then I heard it a second time. And then I was on the phone with my publishing company, and then I said it out loud, answer the call. I said, George, what is that? That's the name of the book.
Huh.
Where did you get that from? It was just whispered to me. George, we're scratching American Inventor. We're going to answer the call. That is the title. And that's what we went with. And a couple of weeks later, it came to me that answer the call is about finding your gifts, your talents, and pursuing your life's purpose. That's what answer the call means.
Perfect. It's funny we bring this up, because I know somebody that's with us tonight that has thought about writing a book, Lou, that,
yeah, right.
Yeah, I need to motivate a little bit.
Yeah, they did.
But the alcohol portion is very powerful, because I'm going to speak for myself. I was an alcoholic. I quit drinking, I guess, about 4 years ago now. Mm-hmm. Close, yeah, about 3. Because I remember I did have some libations in my retirement ceremony, but that's to be expected. And I know Lou's had his issues as well. I don't know if I'd
demons
call him an alcoholic or not. I'd call him a lot of other things, but about alcoholics. So yeah, that's a powerful message that needs to get out there, and it's ruined so many lives. Not just the individual that's the alcoholic or dealing with that, but the families that are involved as well.
The families that were collateral damage to that.
For sure.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think the individual stuck with those demons, like you mentioned, realizes that, because of course they're fighting their own demons. They're not really worried about everybody else because they're fighting internal stuff. But I think when we recognize, because I think my family and I were in denial that my father was an alcoholic until it was way too late. We thought it was just the norm. It's the norm of the culture. It's normal. He doesn't drink every day. He's not drunk. He's not falling over, but he still drank every other day. When in the weekends with family members and friends, I mean, he used to drink a lot. And a lot of the times he wouldn't eat when he would drink, which also caused him that pain as well. So just educating people on this process in that journey, I think would help and really save a lot of people, and also help people not have to cope with that pain. Because I don't want anybody to go through the pain that I went through. Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, I was a healthcare worker for over 30 years, and I've obviously had to deal with the end stage of alcoholism quite a bit. And it's just a horrible, horrible disease. Horrible. Not just the mental toll that it takes on families, but the physical toll, how it literally destroys the body from within. Go ahead, Lou. I know you want to say something.
I'll even take it a step further. It really destroys your soul.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. George, I lost my pancreas to drinking.
Yeah.
So the demon had me. It had me. And I tell people all the time, I'm very outspoken, but I tell people all the time, every comment I have for somebody, there's somebody out there that has it for me, and I owned it at some point.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the biggest problem I struggled with for the longest time was I was a slave to past behavior, because I refused to just look behind me and say, you know what, you're behind me, and I'm not going to be that way anymore, and move on. And there are great programs like AA and all these other things that help people do that. I was very fortunate enough, a month in the hospital and the doctor saying, it's your choice, but this is your pancreas, and you can't live without it. So, you have, good luck. Right. Basically is what it boiled down to. So I had an additional motivator. So I don't disparage programs like AA or anything like that. I don't want anybody to think that, but that's just where I'm at, George. So, when we, as we continue the conversation, I'm right there with you.
No, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it, man.
So how did you cope with this?
I come from a very strong guidance of man in my life. My father was extremely strong. My grandparents were extremely strong. All my male figures, my uncles and whatnot, were strong people, and they wouldn't show emotion. And that's where I was picking up all these traits from, that I'm supposed to be strong. I'm not supposed to cry because I'm a man and stuff like that. So it took its toll. So I would actually suffer in silence, for people not to see it, because I was supposed to be this always also the strong one, because I was also one of the oldest children in my family. And being that I had to share that information with my family was even hard too. I mean, it's almost like I felt like I was cold when I shared that with my family. Yeah. But I had no choice, because had I showed my true feelings about it, I would have also passed that on to them. And so, my God, our life is going to end. When we had to be strong also for my father. And just because he was given 6 months to live, he still lived for 8 more years, because we gave him a lot of natural herbs and natural medicine, because we believed in that. We maintained him for 8 years.
That's fantastic.
So we had to make sure that we kept that strong image for my dad, but we all knew that he was on borrowed time. We just didn't know how long he had. So we enjoyed what we thought was the last moments that turned into a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 8 years. Here's a funny thing for you. He was 45 years old, And so we did a huge party for all family members and friends at 46, because we thought that was his last year. We did one another 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52.
That's awesome.
With live Mexican bands and everything. But the
Nice.
thing is that we really didn't know how long he was here, how long he was here,
Sure.
and we
Sure.
wanted to make sure that he was amongst the people that he loved the most, which is close families and friends.
And I think that's something that gets lost on people who are on the outside looking into when they look at it like, how can how can these families, stand that? Look at the behavior. Well, because you don't see how wonderful they are, because that's part of how they hide it. They are these wonderful people capable of love and compassion that is beyond the pale, that somehow nobody ever sees, that sucks the family in deeper because it's all built around, preserving drinking.
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
Now,
we all wear masks, right?
Yeah.
Oh, every one of us, myself included. So, and we do. I bring up the mask thing. Do you think the whole machismo culture had a lot to do with that as well?
oh, absolutely. That's exactly what I meant. It's
Yeah.
the whole machismo deal. I mean, it's engraved in our culture.
Uh-huh.
The Mexican people are strong people. And they also feel that if we show some kind of sensitivity, they're going to feel that we're weak and that we're going to be attacked for it. And this goes back centuries now.
Sure.
And it's engraved in our almost I guess in our DNA. So and it's unfortunate because, like I said, I mean, we suffer in silence. And but sometimes we do, like the closest people to us, we can see right through each other, and we'll say, "Hey, man, how's it going? Are you okay? Do you need me for something?" I mean, look, man to man, boy to boy, friend to friend, we can talk about this. And nobody else has to know. It's just us right here. So we were able to find at least one or two people that we can open up to alleviate some of that pressure, some of that pain, because it can explode at any given time.
That's a fantastic point because I firmly believe in peer-to-peer counseling, which is what you just described. And I believe even more firmly, if it's possible or not, that can be more beneficial than any kind of therapist or medical provider. You got to have that trust factor built in. And let's face it, talking about things helps. I'm guilty, I'm a lot like you. When my father was dying and he passed, I had to be the strong one.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally get what you're talking about.
With the stuff that I share in my book and how vulnerable I am with the stories that I share, people trust me because of that. And they know that when they reach out to me for some kind of a help or direction, they know that I lived through similar experience that they're living through.
Uh-huh.
And I've survived similar things that they're about to, maybe they're just barely getting into it and they're looking for direction so they don't stay there too long. So it's not like I'm going to say, oh my God, I wish I would know what you're going through. No, no, no. I know what you're going through because I went through that. I lived it myself. And I think that's what has helped me help other people.
I would have to agree with you because I'm the same way. I've always been the person that has bottled up all the emotions. And then without boring everybody to death, I've found that I hit the wall.
Mm-hmm.
My bottle was full. And so I learned the hard way that talking about it actually has helped me quite a bit. I'll break down a wall here since we're sharing personal stories. But 2-3 years ago, I had a pistol to my head. And I was just going to end it. And out of the blue, a friend of mine called. Had no idea what was going on, but he just got a feeling. So he called and, kind of righted the ship, if you will, put things back into perspective. But yeah, it's a tough hole to dig out of when you're in that hole. Whether it's depression, whether you're dealing with, a loved one that's sick or whatever the case may be.
I've experienced what you just said 3 times in my life.
Mm.
The first time I was 21, locked in my own bathroom, about to pull the trigger when I was 21 years old.
Wow.
Again, when I was 20, uh, 26, 27, and then in my mid 40s because of my injury. It's like th- these things come over you, and something comes inside of you that tells you you need to hurt yourself because you're not good enough and stuff like that. But that's the enemy talking. We need to silence that. And but the first time when I was 21, it was the closest one and the most scariest one because my father was already sick. We just didn't know that he had 6 months to live. That actually happened like 2 years after that.
Huh.
So had I done that, I would have cursed my family. Like, how does a parent bury his own child?
Yeah.
That would have killed my father at that particular time too, because he was already vulnerable from his sickness without even realizing it.
No
And then
doubt.
it would have definitely killed my mother, because I was the only one that was single and by himself. My other siblings were married,
Hmm.
so it just would have ruined her. And that's really what stopped me. It's almost like I saw my mom crying over me, and that's really what stopped me. It's almost like God allowed me and gave me of this image. This is going to be the consequences of that. And I'm like, I'm not doing that to my mom and my family. I'm just not doing that.
So
And
your
actually,
purpose hasn't been fulfilled yet then.
at that particular time, I didn't even know what that was.
Right.
Now I know what it was. But I think also that I was meant to go through those phases so I can talk about it because I'm very open about this stuff. I'm open about the depression. I'm open about suicidal thoughts and whatnot. I am very open. I talk about that in my book
Mhm.
because I want people to understand. Let's have a conversation. Talk to somebody.
Right.
You don't got to tell me, but maybe your brother, your older brother, maybe a Nino, a cousin, your best friend, somebody from church, somebody, but talk to somebody, and so we can know that it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway I've learned, and I still like to tell people, is that you're not alone. And when you're in that predicament, you feel like you're the only one in the world that's going through this. But you're not. You're not alone. And there's hundreds, thousands of us that have been through it and that are here willing to help. So I applaud you for what you're doing, sir. It's incredible. And I guarantee you that writing that book has helped you heal.
Oh, in many, many, many ways. I was able, when I wrote the book, I felt like God gave me access to things that I couldn't remember anymore. And he allowed me to connect the dots all the way down to when I was born. And it made me realize, oh my God, all this thing that I went through, this was part of the process and part of the journey. Yes, I was kicking and screaming and crying and praying a lot of the times, but that was meant to happen for me to become this individual that I am now, because there was no way if I wouldn't have gone through those things in my life to be able to help people. And for that reason, I accept everything that happened to me. I accept it. And then I embrace it. And now I want to use it to help other people.
I wish we had more people like you, man. I really do, because so important. And the fact that you've been through it is huge, because my my first therapist, poor thing, I had to let her go because she didn't serve in the military. She was basically a brand new provider, and I could not connect with her, and therefore nothing that she would tell me was going to help me. So I just severed the relationship early on, vice dragging something on. But having someone like you that's been through all that you've been through is invaluable, man. You can't even put a price on it.
I went to a counselor probably when I was 30, and that counselor blamed me for the things that we were discussing, that I handled them a certain way or I misunderstood them a certain way. It was all put on me. And I'm like, wait a minute, shouldn't you been trying to like remove things from me, not necessarily throw stuff back at me? So I knew that I was in the wrong place, talking to the wrong people. So then at that point, I started reading a lot of books. a lot of biographies of people that had gone through similar things, like people that I inspired to be like entrepreneurs, certain people of that launch products and services. I'm like, how do these people do it? And when you really open up their biographies, you're like, wait a minute, this person really went through it. And if these people went through it and they were vulnerable to share this stuff, that means I'm gonna be okay because I can relate to some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then you look for things to help you cope with the things, like go to nature, meditation, prayer, of course, is huge. Breathing exercises, hugging a tree, we've heard that a lot, right? Grounding yourself, all these things are important. It's like it's a combination of everything, not just one thing singular.
You definitely had me at grabbing yourself. That woke me up. Hello. No, I'm with you. I don't care who you pray to, what you pray to. Find something, somebody. If it helps you, then who the hell am I to judge? If it works, it works. I'm an outdoors guy, so I try to go camping as much as I can, and that's how I get recharged out in nature. I'm not sure what Lou does. I have an idea.
No, I was just thinking it's so funny. I hear people say that a lot, and I always think to myself, "Oh, I'm very judgmental."
Oh, I
I'm
know
very
you are.
judgmental. I mean, I judge books by their cover all day, every day, but I know that and ignore it.
Yeah, it's not
I'm aware of it. That, and I think that's the other thing too. Like when we talk about not being alone,
right.
It's okay to think things.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not okay. It's not okay to do things.
Right.
It's
Well-
not. It's okay to think like I mean, we've all said it before, right? Like to our children, I'll kill you if you do that, right?
Right.
And in my mind, I visualized it. I saw it. I saw what would happen.
Right.
But we're not doing that. And it doesn't make me a bad person because I funnily thought like I'll kick you right off this bridge.
Well, we all have those thoughts, and we all
Yep.
say certain things. But like you said, as long as you don't act on them, that's
Right.
important because there's consequences to everything.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, but you're not alone. And the other point I'll make too, I think both of you would agree is when I talk to people, I let them know, look, we can't have honest conversation without honest conversation.
Correct.
So your
That's right.
feedback, don't if I was concerned about hurt feelings, I wouldn't be talking about these topics with you.
Right.
So please lay it on me. I'm here for help. But yeah, you got to be honest, or you're not going to get the feedback you need from your friends if you're not honest with them.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I would think that's a very important point. But even more importantly, is the person has to be honest with themselves first.
Yeah,
Well, I think they might get there through you.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely. I always also look for people that are sincere and they're true to themselves, because that's the person that I want to have a conversation with. I don't want somebody to pretend to be somebody just for me to like them.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to get to know the real you, to see if I still want to keep you around. But I mean, give me that benefit of the doubt. Let's not just try to be friends just because we're trying to be friends. Either
Right.
we can or we can't. It is what it is,
Yeah.
George, that's so funny you said that, and I'm sorry, Andy. I'm reading a book called Influence, where the gentleman is talking about influence peddlers and the tricks they use and how to avoid some of them. And he was talking about the car salesman who was in the Guinness Book of World Records, and they asked him how'd he do it. He said a good price and being likable. The breakdown from that guy was, listen, no matter how likable he is, you're not driving him, you're driving the car. They said you have to separate your like from your thing. But what he pointed out too, though, was beware of people who you tend to gravitate towards. Like you like them more than the situation would allow for. You just met him. How do you like him? He's like, these are, like so be, and so that's why I really like what you said about I look for sincere people who are likable.
My dad used to always say, always be wary of the people that try to be your friends the second you meet them.
Well, that's what you're saying. If you like somebody beyond what the circumstance should warrant,
Yeah,
then
that's
that
exactly
should
what it
cause
reminded me
you-
of.
That should cause you to take a step back and say, "What is going on here?"
Right.
So I've been a real estate agent since 2015, right? And because
I'm not buying a house, George.
because of my personality,
Yeah.
I am very persuasive, right? But I am persuasive when it comes to me helping people in their struggles and adversity and stuff like that. I coach them, I mentor them. What I don't use this power of persuasion is me being a real estate agent, because I don't want to persuade you to buy a house. I want to show you the information, tell you all the details the best I can, and I put it in front of you, and then I ask you the question. I want you to do what's best for you and your family. But I have the power to persuade anybody to buy a house, but I choose not to use that.
Yeah, you're right.
Had I done that since 2015, I would be making millions in real estate because of my personality. But I choose not to use it in that particular sense.
You know, Christine Morgan in the room says, I only like dogs, so I'm okay.
But you know, there's something to be said for that, though, George. Right? What's the cost of peace of mind? You know, people told me, you know, my whole career in the military, you should live off base, you'll make more money. Really? What's the cost of knowing every time I deploy, my wife's behind a guarded gate? I never got phone calls saying the water heater broke. I got phone calls saying the maintenance man took 2 days to change the light bulb. You know, so you know, yeah, maybe I could have made more dollars. You know, and maybe you could have made more dollars, but I don't think it. You know, by what you've been telling us, it wouldn't have sat well with you to do something like that.
No,
So
I
what's
mean,
the cost of that?
I wouldn't be able to live with myself knowing that I convinced someone to buy something.
Yeah.
Because I do have that impact on people, because I'm a very likable guy. I mean, I got that from my dad. He was everybody loved my father, and I got his personality where people gravitate to me and they trust me. But because they trust me, that's a huge responsibility on me.
Yeah.
For me to have them sign their life away, the 30 years commitment, and then something would happen and call me a year later, 6 months later. You know what, George? I think we should learn about the house. It's so persuasive, so we bought it. I can't do that to my clients. You know. Yeah. Now, what I will do is tell them, look, you're special. You have a gift, a talent, and you have a life purpose. You are meant for more than what you have. The current reality that you see for yourself, you are worthy of much more than that. That I will tell them, and I'll persuade them all day long. Yeah. But not to buy something from me. I won't do that.
Yeah. You're awful defensive, pal. I'm just kidding. No, this conversation's great. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm kind of drifting. Selfishly so. I keep going back to the baseball thing, but that's just me.
Look, I'm here to have a conversation. Whatever conversation you want to have, we can have.
Yeah, I'm just, it's because I just bought the bat today. I don't want to say it too loud because I don't know if the little turd is hanging outside my office or not. But so I'm excited. I'm probably more excited about it than he is. But finding about your invention, wow, dude, I'm pumped now. Sorry, I'll get off the baseball thing. Sorry.
So let me tell you one more thing about the baseball thing. There was a young girl in my daughter's softball team that had a very expensive bat. Then I had my daughter. I was unemployed at the time, so I didn't have too many resources. I bought her just a simple bat. My daughter was a better player with that bat than the other girl with the expensive bat. Why? Because they didn't have this machine. And they didn't practice muscle memory, that perfect level swing. They didn't practice that. And that was the difference between those two different individuals. Because everybody say, wait a minute. And then the other girl would say, would you like to use my bat? And my daughter would say, sure, if that's okay with your mom and your dad. Yeah, sure. And then the scale was so noticeable when you have a good player with a crappy bat with a better quality of bat. It was day and night.
For sure. I mean, I was blown away yesterday at his session. I'm like, man, yeah, I'm getting him a bat. That's just all there is to it. But
if you give him the best bat, you take away the struggle of becoming a great player, because they're just dependent on the bat.
I agree. He's not getting the best bat. Daddy ain't got that kind of money. and I got it on sale. So hey, we're doing what we can. But no, I agree. And one thing that I'm so proud of is that you can't teach is his work ethic and his competitiveness with himself. He's practicing all the time. I mean, we're always out in the yard throwing the ball or taking him to batting practice, or he's trying to get better. And it's so refreshing to see it. And like I said, he's only 12. So I don't know where he gets it from. Definitely not me.
Well,
I mean, Luke.
You're a great dad for doing that for him, because there's a lot of parents that they don't even take the time and they just drop them off at practice or whatnot, and some of them don't even show up to the games. It was a sad thing to experience when I saw that.
Yeah,
it broke my heart, and it really broke my heart.
I'm involved with everything. I'm at his batting. At his batting practice, his baseball practice, his fielding practice. We're always out in the yard throwing the ball. I even had a pitching mound built so we could practice out in the yard for him. And I never had the opportunity to play catch with my dad because he was military. He was always gone. So absolutely, I make it a priority to get out there with him as much as possible.
And because this conversation is so important to us, this is another reason why I also put a story of this conversation in my book that talks about the batting machine, the coaching of my daughter, stuff like that. I talk about that because it's important. That's the foundation of the household.
Mm-hmm.
We really have to acknowledge that we are living for our children until they become of age that they can fend for themselves, because we brought them into this world. So we should be committed to whatever they want to do, not what we want to do, but what they want to do. So if they want to play a sport, if they want to play an instrument, or whatever they want to create, we have to be their number one fans. We don't want them to do what we want them to do. No, we want them to do what they want to do and just get out of the way and be their fans. That's why I talk about it in the book.
5 key traits of high functioning households. Praise their children, high expectations, consequences for actions. Can't remember the other one. But the most important one is what you're getting at, George, is parents believe they are the primary educator of their children. You're the biggest fan. You're the one that supports. You're the one that.
I took full responsibility for my child when the day she was born, even before she was born. I was speaking to her when she was in the womb, every single day when I found out I was going to be a father. And she just graduated from Long Beach University with the business marketing degree this year. And she just got a job with the LA Galaxy soccer team in Southern California.
Oh, wow. Good for her.
Yeah. So this whole rounded sports mentality, parenting, guidance, and coaching was valuable to her foundation of her becoming who she now is. I'm super, super proud of her for her accomplishments now.
And you should be. Now, how many kids do you have?
Just one daughter. She's 25.
What's funny is that I have 2 that I know of. And that's why I move every 3 years. But when my wife was pregnant with my daughter, I was the same way as you. I was talking to her every day in the womb, and this, that, the other. And then when we got pregnant with my son, I'm like, he'll be all right. He'll figure it out.
Don't name it. God.
I know, right?
Come home.
I mean, that's a true story. I'm like, we got all that crap out of the way with the first one. He's got it. He'll figure it out. But he turned out all right, I guess.
What I thought was funny? I have 2 children as well, disparate in age, right? 126, 110. So it was funny because when the one was 16 and the one was 4, they both talked about the same to me. Like, they both had nothing to say to me. But anyway, you have those multiple kids and you do things for them. Like it's gonna be this like special meeting. Like I remember with my son, I'm like, I'm gonna make his middle name my dad's name, and we're gonna pass it down, and it's gonna be great, And with my daughter, I'm like, I'm gonna honor my mother's grandmother and make that her middle. Both of them hate it. Tell me repeatedly how silly it is. They don't like how it sounds.
I joke my wife all the time. Well, at the time. So she named our daughter Isabella Marie. That was her choice. Whatever, good to go, mama, daughter. But I said I get to name the boy, and she's like, all right. So she's like, well, what are you gonna name him? I said Liam Seamus. And I had her fooled for a good 8 of those 9 months that I was serious about that. But she was like, you are not naming my son Seamus.
Okay, while we're here telling stories, I have to throw one in, and this is way off track, but it happened, and I couldn't believe it happened, and my wife still gets pissed, but I'm going to tell it anyway. And I don't care. I threw her a surprise baby shower. She was stunned. I mean, out of it completely.
I'm stunned.
Out of it. Like she was bumping into walls, thinking she had to get food. I'm like, it's all here, right? So I catch her around the refrigerator talking to one of the guests, who's like, so what are you having, a boy or a girl? And she's like, I'm not sure. And I thought, if you put your hand in front of your face
Oh no.
and your palm is bigger, you're going to have a girl. And I see the hand coming up, and I'm like, are you shitting me? Is this going to happen? She put that hand there, and I smashed it in. And the look of betrayal on her face. I can't believe you didn't know that was coming. If your hand is bigger than your face, come on.
So you have to put it in the context too, because Lou's wife is Japanese, and she's a very, very typical Japanese person where she's very serious.
Very serious, yes.
I can't even.
That's why the hand was coming up. I could see the calculations.
And trusting in the husband.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's her fault. She married him.
Yeah. But I just couldn't believe she fell for it. Like I saw that hand coming up in slow motion, and I was thinking, this is happening? This is going down. All right. Anyway,
By the way, she's a wonderful woman. She has to be to put up with Lou's crap.
No.
But same with my wife.
We need to get back on our topic here. I just had to tell that story because I don't ever want to forget it, and I want it preserved in the archives.
Wait, we had a topic?
No, yeah. Come on.
Where am I? Who am I? We could talk about. Never mind. I'll get in trouble for that one.
Yeah.
So why don't you, real quick, George, tell the folks where they can find you?
Well, you can find me under all my social media platforms at my name, George_V Gonzalez. And if you go to my bio, you can actually download a free copy of my book.
Hey, free 99 is my favorite price.
And also in the bio of all my social media platforms, there's also the links underneath my link tree where you can see all the products that I have. Like you can see the information about the batting machine. Also, there's a link for that. There's also a link to a course that I promote for how to close in your first 12 deals, your first 16 months as a real estate agent, because that's what I was able to do. And just other things that I have in there, stuff like that I want people to know me as a whole, so I want to be accessible to everybody, so.
Awesome. Yeah, we will definitely, I'll get that put up in the show notes and everything and make sure, hopefully we can get some traffic driven towards you. I don't know, we got about 2 listeners. One of them's me and the other one's my mom. I got a pair, but Well,
I had a dream that one of my podcasting interviews was going to have millions and millions of views.
This could be it.
Could be, but probably not. But we're here to support no matter what. You know what, Lou? You know what time it is?
It is, but I did want to ask one question of George before we leave, and I'll make it really quick. I'll make it like an ABC thing, George, for you, so it'd be real simple.
Oh boy!
The process of patenting your machine, was it difficult, or was the difficulty hard, moderate, easy?
I want to say a combination of all 3. The hardest part is finding somebody. Once that you find somebody that you trust, and just putting the things together that what are your main focal points to protect is kind of like a hard part as well. But then
that's right. You have to patent individual. Like, yeah. Okay.
well,
Okay.
there's certain things that you're protecting because you're
Right.
protecting.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
what part of the machine do you really don't want anybody to copy? And
Right.
that's
Right.
the really part that's important, But other than that, I mean, it's not as hard as we would think. The hardest part
Okay.
is finding somebody to help you do it. That's the
Okay.
hardest.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for that.
Wow, that was much shorter than I thought it would be coming from Lou. Great question, Lou. Anyway, it's that time of the show. George, we do something every week on the show here. We call it our Veterans Helping Veterans segment. And each week we highlight a different organization. What the heck is that?
That's a train right in front of
Oh. Wow, that scared the crap out of me for a second. I'm like, what I hit? What I touch? But
I'm
no,
I'm in a 9-story building and I got a train right in front of me.
Hey.
no worries. But anyway, we highlight a different organization that helps out veterans. And this week's organization, because I was really running out of time and lazy, I chose the American Legion. And as you see, the QR code that's up there, if you go ahead and scan that, that will bring you to their website. But they're a fantastic organization that helps veterans out. And the key, I would say, Lou, correct me if I'm wrong here, distinguishing factor between the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign War is that you actually technically had to have served in combat to be a member of the VFW. Now they're...
Yeah, you had to be foreign soil as well.
Right. Yeah. So, but the American Legion will accept any veteran, regardless of whether you are a combat veteran or not. And they're a great organization.
They're like Mikey.
Yeah, they are like Mikey, but it's there are a lot of veterans out there that need help, and this organization is one of the organizations that will do just about anything for their members. So check them out, scan the code, and give them a like, and that's all we got for this week.
Yep. George, don't leave. Don't leave.
Just to let you know, I scanned the code and it gave me a book in Amazon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I screwed that up, didn't I? I need to talk to HR and fire the guy that put this crap together.
Was that book The Adler Compound?
No, it's funny because it's 8 tools to empower your kids.
Oh, you know what? It didn't save, man. What the hell?
8
Oh,
tools
well.
to empower your kids.
Yeah, so the American Legion doesn't empower your kids, but if you're interested in finding 8 tools to empower your kids, yeah, check it out.
I just want to let you know that half of my clients that I've serviced since 2015 have been veterans. So
excellent.
I'm happy to help PAs.
Well, we appreciate you helping the wounded warriors out there that are a lot of times discarded.
Yeah, sadly, yes, true.
So, but anyway, hey, George, stick around. I'm going to bring us out, but we want to talk to you in the room after we come off of live stream. But any final parting words, sir?
I just want to say that I want people to believe and to know that they are special beyond comprehension, and that every single one of us has a gift, a talent in our life's purpose, and we're all being called to answer the calling on our lives.
That's awesome.
Can't top that.
No, I'm for once speechless, which doesn't happen very often. Lou, any parting words, sir?
No.
That's a first.
No. I don't know, right?
Anyway, hey, it's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about all the cool things that you've got going on and the trials and tribulations that you've been through and what you're doing to help folks out. I love these conversations more than anything else. So again, thank you, sir. And for those that have tuned in tonight and listened, and those that will listen, thank you very much. And we'll catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.